I am the owner of, oh geez, sorry, redo. Can we redo? I'm like, I don't even know who I am. All right.
Check.
I was just making sure it was working. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Good test. Good
All right, let's
test.
do it again. All right. So, hi everybody. I'm Dee. I'm the owner of Fire Within Coaching. I'm also an empowerment coach. So the name Fire Within Coaching means a lot to me and my journey. Because I was burnt out, like severely burnt out for about 13 years. And of course, during that time, life happened.
Life happens.
But yeah, it always happens, right? Life always happens. So then August of 2022 came, and I finally was able to look at my situation from a different perspective because I was always doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I was trying to fit in a box that I wasn't made for. So that caused a lot of
Very
mental
good.
health issues
Sure.
for myself. So August happened and I said, no, I'm done. And I left my cushy corporate job and,
Oh,
decided to go out on my own. And I'm dedicated to helping, helping organizations develop psychologically safe environments to prevent workplace trauma.
that was a very elaborate way of saying it, but it fits too. Like sometimes you hear people like talk about like what they do, and it's like I think I heard stocks in there. I don't know. Like, was that? I don't know. But
I like
that
to
was
wrap it.
actually like elaborate, but at the same time like perfect. Like it's like yeah, I
Yeah.
got it
Yeah.
all together. So talk about your burnout then. I mean, that's a long time to. Did you
Yeah.
like feel that every day, or did it truly get to 13 years and you were like, wait a minute, like this
Yeah.
is terrible. Like I can't
Yeah.
do this.
It was a slow decline.
Slow decline. Yeah.
Yeah, because it started, I think it started beforehand. I moved to Virginia about 20 years ago, from New York, and I
Mhm.
left everything I knew. So I left all my family, I left all my friends, and that, at the time I didn't think it would really affect me, but now looking back, like
Sure.
it really did affect me.
Yeah.
And it really, I think, triggered, some things. So my goal was I just want to fit in. I just want to fit in with people. And I started and that didn't work, by the way. Trying to fit in with people did not work.
Good to
I-
clarify. Thank
yeah,
you.
just to clarify. So don't try to fit in with other people if you don't fit in. But I really just, I started my job in healthcare, and I said, you know what? I'm still not happy.
Yeah.
So I went back to school and I was working full time, um, pregnant right before school started. So I went through school having a baby. And I also, have post-traumatic stress disorder,
Yeah.
with, or no, postpartum is what I meant to say. I'm sorry. I do have post-traumatic stress disorder, but we're not there yet. No, so postpartum. So I suffered from that as well. So of course that really affected me.
Yeah.
And then I got into this cycle where I needed to prove myself. I needed to
Yeah.
prove that I was the best. And what happened is I ended up isolating myself. And I ended up being the one that, just always felt, out of place, not supposed to be there. So of course that does a lot for you.
Totally.
And then my environment was not always psychologically safe,
Yeah.
which, I mean, looking back now, I mean, I know that there's a lot, like I take accountability. There's a lot of things that I should have known, but you don't know what you don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and
And then
then,
you said I'm sorry, you said healthcare too, and that's a whole
mhm,
nother level of
yeah,
burnout because
yeah,
I mean there's like a compassion burnout, like from
yep.
feeling like you always need to be there for somebody else, and then
Mhm.
just the natural like what happens in any workplace, right?
Right, right. Well, I think the pandemic, so before the pandemic, I had started a new job with the same organization, in human resources. And I was so excited. I was like, this is awesome. Finally, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then 3 days later, COVID hit or everything shut down. And there I go, I'm isolated again.
Yeah.
So, and
In a
it
whole
took,
different way too.
yeah, a whole different way. And of course, when, that triggers other things. So,
Sure.
I felt like I was just triggered all the time. And
100%. Yeah.
that's no way to live.
No, absolutely.
That's no way to live. So then finally in August, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was sitting in a meeting and I was just kind of like not there, but there. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be talking about this. I don't want to be here. Um, and I wasn't supposed to be. I told myself I have to find a new job before I quit. And that wasn't true. That was
It
just
wasn't
another
true.
excuse of me,
Sure. Yeah.
self-sabotaging.
Yeah. Interesting. And I'm like, so if you go back then even further than that, I mean, even just outside of the workplace, do you notice aspects of your, just your personal life that kind of get you the same thing that kind of add to it, or that like, do you feel like you're more in control when
Yeah.
you're, just outside of work, or is it truly just like a workplace kind of like isolation feeling and
Yeah.
burnout?
Well, I think it all spills over. And I realize like it's like, oh, here's work, here's personal. But when
Yeah,
you do that and you try to be like two different people, it does a lot to you mentally because,
sure,
well, who am
sure.
I? Like from an anxiety perspective. So I just I'm sorry, what was your question? I was starting to get my
Just
coffee.
looking at the the separation of like the feelings that you have,
Yeah,
you could certainly bring stuff home as far
right.
as those feelings of
Yeah.
isolation, as you mentioned.
Hmm.
Some people are good about that, like compartmentalize that in a healthy way, that it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm home, but there's
Right.
a whole other set of issues that come with that. Are they kind of intertwined for you?
It was intertwined. So I was at a point where before I started the burnout with healthcare, I was really having a hard time connecting with people. And that goes back to me moving here, not having any
Yeah,
friends. So I didn't really feel connected with people. And I sort of like expected, oh, well, they know me. Well, they don't because,
they don't. Yeah,
I'm new, to the area. So I
yeah,
think I carried a lot of that with me. And I also like it didn't affect my family life, but
yeah,
it affected other things because I was so tired. I'm like, I don't want to hang out with my friends. I don't want to
yeah,
go, out for, wine. I don't want to do these things because I am so emotionally exhausted
yeah,
from being somewhere 50% of the time where I don't want to be.
yeah. And to the people, I mean, you mentioned that the family that kind of knows that. I mean, the people that like said something to you, and you kind of like, yeah, I just had a tough day, like all those usual catchphrases when it comes to
Yeah,
no,
brushing it off.
no, not
Yeah.
me, not me, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is I'm very fortunate. My husband and I have been together for over 20 years. We've known each other. He's the reason why I came to Virginia. So he's always been very supportive, and I'm able to be very upfront and honest with my mental health issues, which is huge because a lot of people don't
Huge,
have that.
very huge. Yeah,
And he's supported me all the way, and I know he'll continue to support me. And also we are showing our kids how to deal with
yeah,
mental health.
yeah,
And because when I was growing up, you just brushed it under the table. We can't talk
yeah.
about it. It's not real, but it
Or
is.
you explain it in a different way,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to kids, that let's just he's just being a boy, or that's just their age.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. Like you mentioned earlier, like,
Mhm.
you keep saying don't. That's causing anxiety
Yeah.
eventually. Maybe not at 2, but at 12 for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Exactly. So, and that was my biggest thing is I just, when I looked at parenthood, I was like, I just don't want to mess up my kid.
yeah,
I just don't, I want my kids to just be good humans. And I look at them now and they are good humans. So I'm like, my husband and I are doing something right, right? Because they are good humans so far. But being a parent is just scary in general. And then you add the mental
Yeah,
health stuff on it, and it could
yeah.
be very, very debilitating at times.
Because if you're not addressing yours, they'll see that too,
I do.
and not even just intentionally messing them up.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're showing them that okay, like this is a healthy way to
Yeah.
let go of my
Hmm.
anxiety by, throwing a tantrum or, shutting down,
Yeah.
completely or yelling at somebody and,
Hmm.
for no reason. Like all those signs, like,
Yeah.
if you're choosing the opposite to even just saying what's going
Yeah.
on is a huge step, right? I mean, like you said, we
Yeah.
brush under the rug. And if you just said, you know what,
Hmm.
mom's feeling a little bit like stressed out.
Yeah.
What is that? It's like you
Hmm.
opened a door that
Yeah.
otherwise may have been closed if not locked for kids,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
But fortunately, we've been able to have those open conversations. But
yeah,
if it wasn't for COVID, I don't think that we would have been there. Like we were still good, but it was
yeah,
still, we were all kind of living separate lives, work, school, and
yeah.
everything. And then COVID hit, and we were all together. And I
Here,
feel like we really, at that point, like, they're always there. So
you
I'm
had
going
to,
to have
yeah,
issues. So my husband and I would just sit down and I would be like, mommy's just having a really hard time right now.
yeah,
Like, what do we do for people when they have a really hard time? Like, how can we
yeah.
help them? And like, my son will do cute things like he'll make me coffee and he'll bring me coffee in the
There you
morning.
go.
Yeah. So my
Well,
daughter
that's all
will
it
like make me
takes.
cupcakes. Yeah. Like, mommy said he was cupcakes.
They found the love language right there,
Yeah.
right? The food is a love language for sure.
100%. I'm Italian. Food is a love
Oh, there
language.
you go. Absolutely. I have a mom that can do that as well. I understand that one completely. It's already coming towards our kids. I'm like, oh man, that would never be in the house, but
I
there's
love
there's
it.
grandma for you. So, looking at your experience and at work, was it just kind of a natural fit to say, you know what, I don't want other people to feel this way, and then that's what I feel like I need to do? Or how did that all kind of like transition towards what path you're choosing now?
Yeah. So I went into coaching last year around this time. I was learning how to be a coach. And for that, you have to do a lot of self work.
Hmm.
So I really just kind of got to know myself because it got to a point where I didn't know myself. I didn't know who I was, where I
Yeah,
was. Like it was all just kind of just like an anxiety bubble above my head.
yeah,
So once I was able to really do that self discovery in a safe place
yeah,
without any biases or anything like that, I really got to know what I wanted and who I
yeah,
was. And that's when I was like, I want to do this for other people. I wish
yeah,
that I had this. I wish, 20 years ago, someone would have told me this. So I want to be the help for people that I wish that I had, and the support
yeah.
that I wish that I had.
And do you see that as like this, huge like issue that's not being addressed in like you said, a workplace or even just individual, or is it just kind of just one
Yeah.
of many issues? How do you see it from your end?
So I think that psychological safety is the foundation of any healthy work culture, because everybody has a voice. Everybody
Yeah,
should have a voice. And psychological safety, some people will say, oh, well, that means I have to do everything, for, my employees. I always have to say yes. No, that's not what it
no,
means. It means be respectful when
yeah,
when your employee says, hey, I have an idea. Don't shoot it down
yeah,
and say, oh, that's not a good idea. Talk about it. Maybe it is a
yeah,
good idea, but you just need to talk about it and
yeah,
grow from it. So I really do feel that there's a problem with psychological safety within
yeah,
corporate America, and it's because of society, and it's because we normalized the unsafe environment and just
Yeah.
work, the hustle and bustle, you have to work 50 hours a week and, and all that. And that's just not healthy.
Yeah. It's not
Um,
sustainable. Yeah.
yeah. And it causes workplace trauma. And that's
Yeah.
something that people don't like to talk about.
Yeah.
No organization wants to hear, oh, I'm causing trauma. Nobody wants to hear that, but they have to hear it because it's
Yeah.
true. My story is just one of,
Hundreds
millions,
of
I'm
thousands, I'm
sure,
sure. Yeah.
of people that have felt that way. And it's not even just work, because it's also personal. So your
Right.
personal safety. So are you safe in your own home? Are you able to speak your mind? Are you able to
Yeah.
do the things that you want? Are you able to be yourself?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, then that's a red flag.
Yeah. And that was a good example too. I mean, just and very simple that, like just an idea in a meeting. I could see somebody like
Mhm.
they were like, thinking about it all night and they were like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to work, I've got my Starbucks, I'm ready, I'm
Mhm.
gonna say this today.
Yep.
And that was the immediate response was like,
Yep.
that's a bad idea.
Hmm.
And you had no idea that, what you were saying, right?
Right.
Like you probably just maybe just even just simply reacted like,
Right.
no, that's not gonna work. But that's a
Hmm.
good example of like just you have no idea what was going on in that person's head. And
Yeah.
that was probably that could have been like the biggest moment of their life right there, or
Yeah.
that their current life. That was like,
Right.
I have zero confidence, and this is the day that I'm going to have it. And it was
Yeah.
like,
And
and
do you think they're
trajectory
going to
just
speak up
changed for
again?
them.
They're not going
Yeah,
to speak up ever again.
yeah. I mean, it was a good example. I mean, I could see it. I mean, it was like understandable in the sense that, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's exactly. I mean, trauma is a very triggering, strong word. You're right,
Yeah.
but it comes in many facets,
Right.
just like anxiety, just like
Hmm.
depression. I mean, there's different facets of it, that it's not
Yeah.
just a wait, that's the most extreme thing you could possibly
Yeah.
say. No, it's
Right.
one part of what could possibly affect someone's day.
Yeah, absolutely. When people hear trauma, they're thinking overall trauma. They're thinking
Yeah,
car accident, somebody died, and that's not true. I mean, during
yeah,
the day, we always have little traumas during the day.
yeah,
It's how we react to it.
yeah,
So if we don't feel safe and we have these, little things happening, we're going to internalize it. And we're going
yeah,
to think it's our fault because we don't feel safe and we're not able to do anything. And that's when you
yeah,
feel stuck. And that's when you feel like you don't have power,
yeah,
because you don't. Because when you can't speak your mind, you're giving your power to someone else.
yeah. And does that? I mean, do you see that like creating like a cycle for the people then that like
Yeah.
that same example now they've got that reaction, but
Hmm.
now maybe they liked going to that workplace, maybe they didn't, but now
Hmm.
it's like you're stuck in this,
Yeah.
hamster wheel of
Right.
going to work every day. I don't like it and I don't know how to get out of it. Is
Yeah.
that part of that now? Is that
Yeah. Absolutely. So it also spills over to the personal life, because
yeah,
if you're someone like, so if you're someone who at home you're not safe, you don't feel like you're psychologically safe, maybe your
yeah,
partner and you are having issues, and then you go into work, and then you have an issue with your boss, and it could be something as simple as, you say something and your boss put it down, or maybe you
yeah.
said, hey, good morning, and they said, don't talk to me right now, because that happens as well.
Sure,
um,
right.
so what do you think that person's going to be thinking? They're
Yeah.
going to be thinking, what is wrong with me?
I mean, I was gonna say I could tell you exactly how I would be. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, and I understand that everybody's gonna react in however they feel like, but I
Mhm.
would certainly be that.
Yeah. What is wrong with me? Why can't people love me? Those
Yeah.
are the things, and that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Um, but I've also been there. So, I can understand how people can feel that way, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate and it's also preventable.
It is absolutely. I mean, yeah, I mean, and those are again. I mean, it's just a simple example. But even taken out of workplace, right?
Mhm.
I mean, my son and 2.5. Like, I mean, I'll I'm walking on the sidewalk, or going
Yeah.
for a bike ride with him, and I'll say hey to anybody because it's like I'm in
Yeah.
that stuck in moment where it's like
Mhm.
you're passing me, I'm passing you. This would be
Yeah.
awkward if I didn't say anything,
Yeah.
and I'll say hello. And the minute we go away from, they're like, "What did Daddy just say?" And I'm like, "Well, it's just polite to say
Mhm.
hello." But I mean, take those situations. You could be out
Yeah.
on the street and say that, and that person could just not say anything to you. And how
Yeah.
easy is it to just go, "Man, like,
Mhm.
what is there something on my nose? Like,
Right.
what did should I have not said hello?" You just begin to,
Yeah.
and it may be like, I mean, I
Mhm.
could see someone looking at this, like listening to this, going, "Well, that's ridiculous. Why would you get caught in that kind of thought? Of course they don't care about you." But
Yeah.
you might just the smallest degree
Mhm.
for 10 minutes, like
Yeah.
just for a moment while you're finishing your walk, you're stuck
Right.
wondering what the heck you did wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
and I would say too, another example would be for personal would be you're driving in a car. And we'll say you live in North Carolina, I live in
Hmm.
Virginia. So 81, you know where 81 is.
Yep.
So we're driving on 81 and someone cuts us off. Okay? What are you going to say? What like if you're upset because this person cut you off and you had to brake, what are you going to say?
What are you doing, man? Like that's I've learned to tell if 10 years ago asked me that question, it would be a totally different. I've never been a car honker
Yeah.
or anything with like gestures, but definitely like loud. But I always just look at it like, what are
Yeah.
you doing? Like,
Well,
what's going on here?
yeah. So me, I'd be like, what's going on? And not anymore, but like that was me. And then I'd
Yeah.
be upset for hours afterwards because one bad thing happened to me this morning
Yeah.
and now I'm going to carry it through my day. And
Yeah.
then maybe I spill my coffee and when I'm at work and then it's all over me. So then I got cut off.
Yeah.
And then after I got cut off, then I spilled coffee all over myself. Then I had to go see clients with coffee on my shirt, and it's just it
And it's
spirals.
that guy's fault. So all you can
Right.
do all day is go, that guy cut me off.
Yep.
My whole day is ruined because of
Right.
look at all these things that happen because of that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And if you look at it from a different perspective and you tell yourself a story, maybe that guy just cut me off because he had to poop his pants. He had to get to the exit. He had to poop his
Maybe,
pants.
right?
I I would have done the same thing. So it's
Yeah.
cool. Are
It's
you going to
yeah.
be upset about that?
No,
You're not going to be
right. I mean, it's such a silly thing to think about, but how often do we get to just pause
Yeah,
and really think about what other people's days are like, and not to
exactly.
not to excuse the behavior, not to say
No.
that like what they did was right or wrong,
Mm-mm.
but at least maybe have like an understanding that, oh, you know what,
Mm.
I've been in that exact
Right.
situation, or maybe or something like that to
Yeah.
make you go, oh yeah, 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 that wasn't right. They
Right.
shouldn't have said
But
that. They shouldn't have reacted so fast. They shouldn't have
right.
whatever. But it at least gives you some clarity as
Mhm.
to how things transpire.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
absolutely. It's all we're all connected.
we
Um, you
are.
know, personal and professional, like we're all connected. We're all
Yeah,
human. We all make mistakes. We have to show each
yeah.
other grace.
And once we figure that out, the whole world opens up to possibilities, right?
Yeah, 100% agree.
Well, thank you for sharing your story.